What's up, guys and girls? This is G2 Gaming. The Gandhi Man is speaking to you. And right now we are getting ready to go over my top 10 video games ever that I have ever played. First of all, I want to apologize for the mic not being right. I'm still getting the appropriate accommodations for this recording. So without further ado, here are my top 10 games. At number 10, it's a two-way tie between two games. You got Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Infamous 2. I couldn't really make up my mind between them because I really like both of those games, but I'm going to go ahead and start off with Knights of the Old Republic. Alright, now the reason why Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is on here at number 10 is I think it's one of the best Star Wars games that were ever made. There's actually another Star Wars game on this top 10 list that I think is better, and it's actually a more recent one. But let's get on with it. First of all, I'm a big open world gamer, and no, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is not a completely open world game, but it's close to it. In my opinion, I think it could be considered an open world game fairly easily. You can be light or dark side, which I think is great. There's a game called Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy that I really liked as well, but that's not on this list. But this game, you can have all the powers of the dark side, all the powers of the light side, pretty much anything that you can imagine, and you can be exactly what you want to be as a Jedi. If you ever thought that the Jedis in the movies, you ever got it wrong, got it right, you can do exactly what you thought they should have done in this game. So, that being said, once again, it's probably one of my favorite, and it is actually officially the top 10 game on my list. Alright, now for the game that is actually the two-way tie and the top 10 spot, Infamous 2. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, what? Why Infamous 2? Infamous 2 was a great game. Yes, it was. Again, it was another open world game, which is exactly what the criteria is for most games to be on this top 10. But Infamous 2, the reason why Infamous 2 is on here, not the original, is I thought Infamous 2 started off with a bang. Fighting this guy at the beginning was just spectacular. It was awesome, but then you lose all your powers and you have to do everything else over again. But Infamous 2 is not higher up on this list because I didn't feel like the graphics were up to my standard. I liked it, don't get me wrong. The graphics were fine for the game. And I thought the storyline was okay. I thought the powers could have been cooler, could have been better all around. But that's the main reason why I guess Infamous 2 is tied only for 10 and not better or higher up. I thought everything else was fairly well, though. Everything else. Sucker Punch is a great game. I'm so excited for Infamous Second Son to come out. I think that game will be a lot better than these previous two games. One, because I like Delston's powers a lot better than I like Cole's. Don't get me wrong, the electricity power is an awesome idea. And you see people like Storm from X-Men. The power that she had was just amazing when it came to electricity. And so that's what I really liked about Infamous 1 and 2, but specifically Infamous 2. That there takes off the top 10 two games that were tied. And now moving on to the 9th spot. The game holding the 9th spot is Naughty Dog's Uncharted 2. The reason why Uncharted 2 holds the 9th spot is because of its epic story. I love story in any game, whether it's first-person shooter or open world games. The reason why I play a game is for the storyline. If the storyline sucks, it's probably not going to be a good game in my eyes. Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, is probably one of my favorite games simply because of the storyline, and I can relate to it a lot. I love archaeology and I love Indiana Jones, and you take Nathan Drake, a modern character, and put him into an Indiana Jones type role, and he just flourishes. It's asking for a good game remark. It is truly one of those games that I really like and that I play over and over again. Now, Uncharted 3, I like that as well. Naughty Dog is good with storylines. But Uncharted 3 was exactly like Uncharted 2, and I wasn't liking that, which is why Uncharted 3 is not on my top 10. But another reason why I like Uncharted 2 is because of the historical aspect to it. No, it's not historically accurate in any sense, but it does have myths and all that kind of stuff, and I love that. that is probably another big reason why Uncharted 2 is on my list of top 10. But it's only at number 9, so it's still got some flaws, but it's still a game to get. Now moving from number 9 to number 8, we have the next Star Wars game, and the last Star Wars game on my list, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Now, you may be wondering, how could The Force Unleashed beat out Uncharted 2? Well, again, I am a huge Star Wars fan, and this game also has a very nice storyline to it. I thought it was a little bad to a point because it was inaccurate to the actual storyline in the movies. I really did not like the fact that it deviated from the movies at all, actually. But I did like the idea, despite it being completely wrong. The idea was very cool. Vader's apprentice, you're this ultimate guy, and it also starts off with a big bang. I mean, who does not want to play as Vader? Like, you're the Dark Lord, Darth Vader. Like, come on, you don't get much better than that. Like I said, once again, the storyline was good, but I didn't like the fact that it was off and deviated from the original and the real storyline of the Star Wars trilogy. If it wanted to do something like that, I thought it should have based itself before the Old Republic or after the Empire had fallen. But you can't get Vader in between those. So that being said, Star Wars: Force Unleashed, great game. It even has a little bit of romance in it, although I'm not very much for the romance part of video games. I could care less about that. But anyways, Star Wars: Force Unleashed at number 8. Good game. Alright, the next game that falls into number 7 on my list is Hitman Absolution. Now, Hitman Absolution is the first Hitman game that I've played, and it has been the only Hitman game that I've played. Now, that being said, I did pre-order this game, and I did get the Sniper's Challenge, and that really won me up to the game. I love the idea of being a sniper, and you get to snipe your targets from afar. But anyways, regardless, the reason why I pre-ordered this game was because I found out about it at the E3 in 2012. And when I saw it, I thought the graphics were amazing. I like the idea about being a hitman and being able to take out your targets any way you can take them out. Any way you can think of, really. And that was an appealing thing to me. Yes, I don't like stealth all that much, and this game did require a lot of stealth play because if you went in guns blazing the whole time, it was going to be a very hard game to beat. And so I did learn how to take it down stealth and all that kind of stuff, even though preferably going in guns blazing is what I do best and what I like to do. Even in the first-person shooters, I like storming a location instead of flanking its position and all that kind of stuff. And this game really lets you have the freedom to go any route possible. And it was just, graphics again were amazing. Storyline was a little iffy at times. I thought it was a decent storyline. I thought it was cliche in other parts. But other than that, it's a really good overall game. Alright, now the game that follows Hitman Absolution in the number 6 spot is Assassin's Creed 3. Now, a lot of people didn't really care for Assassin's Creed 3, and yes, it wasn't the best Assassin's Creed game out there. And that definitely was a disappointment to me. I love the revolutionary time frame. The Revolutionary War is probably one of my favorite aspects and favorite eras in history. And I'm a real big history guy. I love history with all my heart, and it is a really big part of my education. Anyways, going on with Assassin's Creed 3, definitely wasn't the best, and I was a little disappointed in that. And we do have another Assassin's Creed game that does rank higher on this list. Assassin's Creed 3 made everything bigger, and it was really different. It added the naval aspect into it, which I never really liked it, to be blunt with it. I mean, I don't know if I didn't like it simply because I didn't like it, or simply because I didn't think it was necessary. I didn't think I didn't think the naval aspect of this game was necessary. Now, that being said, I like the fact that the main character is Native American, and I didn't think he was all that bad of a character. A lot of people tend to bash on Connor, and didn't really think he was a good protagonist for this series, especially coming off of Ezio Auditore. Now, and everybody bagged on this game being very similar to the other games, where, in my opinion, the combat system is very different than a Revelation and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and 2 and all these other ones. The combat system is different. You got the two weapons that you can actually maneuver around back and forth and all that sort of stuff. So that game was a lot different, in my opinion, than the other games. Now, I'm really excited for Assassin's Creed 4, and more to come on that later. But again, I thought the biggest issue that I had with this game is that, I mean, the graphics, in my opinion, could have been better, but they were good. They made everything, they scaled a lot of things bigger. They also, but the problem is they had a lot of glitches, and I didn't really care for the glitches. And Assassin's Creed 3 is actually the first game that I've actually really experienced a lot of glitches on, other than Skyrim. But it was still a good game. The storyline was like I said, I love the Revolutionary period, and that in itself was good. But the Desmond storyline, I like the fact that Desmond got bigger and buffer and badder, and all that kind of stuff. But again, I thought, like everybody else, I'm on the same mindset that the ending sucked, and that was the biggest takeaway from this game, is that I didn't like the ending. The ending left too much open and all that kind of stuff. So I would have enjoyed to see some more things about what happened at the end of Assassin's Creed 3 be talked about in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, but it doesn't look like we're going to get that based on what I've been reading and what I've been seeing in videos from it. But that being said, Assassin's Creed 3, ranked number 6, great game. I am a big Assassin's Creed fan, and it is another open world game, which is, once again, like I said, a big aspect and a big reason why it is ranked so high. Alrighty, moving on to my 5th favorite game, we got the newest Tomb Raider that came out in March of this year. Now, this Tomb Raider has a similar story to Hitman Absolution. I have never played a Tomb Raider game before this game, and this is still the only Tomb Raider game that I have ever played. Now, the visuals in this game were spectacular. I thought this was one of the best visuals in any game that I have ever played, especially in recent memory, and especially for the PS3. The PS3 graphics are being used to its fullest capacity at this point in time in this generation, towards the end of this generation, and I think it's probably one of the best games that I've ever played, visually speaking. The storyline was also pretty good. I like the idea that it did take Lara Croft back into the past, and we got to see the backstory of why and how she became the person she is. And that aspect of the story I really enjoyed. Some of the voice acting was pretty good as well. I mean, Laura's was just spectacular. There was a little bit of a effect where, I mean, she takes a beating, and you can't really tell she takes a beating that much, except for in the beginning of the game where she's struggling to move after she's getting impaled and all that kind of stuff. But this game is definitely a good game to get, and I personally, one of my favorites this year. Coming in at number 4 is Sleeping Dogs. This is another very new game that came out last year, and it's another game that I found out at the E3 of 2012 as well. Now, this game was supposed to be a true crimes game that actually got aborted for whatever reason, but Square Enix, thank God, picked it up. Square Enix is probably one of my favorite game developers of all times. They got some of my favorite games ever. When everything is said and done, you'll actually notice that at least 5 of these games that I've named during this whole list will be from Square Enix, and Square Enix is just an amazing game. Their graphics are usually pretty good, and their gameplay is awesome. they're just one of my favorite games ever. Going back into Sleeping Dogs though, Sleeping Dogs, like I said, I found out about it in the E3 of 2012, and it's an open world game. Of course, how do you figure? This game is probably one of my favorite games simply because it's an open world game. It is based off in China. And that was one of the things I thought was really cool about this game. It took you outside of the United States and put you in a different country completely and totally, and that was really cool. I did take Chinese for a little while, and I thought about when I was getting this game, I thought maybe I could understand some of the things that were being said. Nope, I couldn't. Go figure, right? But anyways, this game takes you as a guy named Wei Shen, and he's this cop, and he has to go undercover to take down this gang and Sun On Yi. And gameplay, like I said before, is really good. You can do almost anything you want. Everybody kind of, as I was reading and all that kind of stuff, kind of made this game out to be similar to Grand Theft Auto. And from what I've read and what I know of Grand Theft Auto, even though I haven't played any of its games, it didn't seem like this game was like Grand Theft Auto at all. Like I said before, this game was supposed to be a true crimes game, and this game, probably in my opinion, would feel more like a true crimes game, even though I haven't played those games yet either. But either way, this game is a really good game, and graphics, gameplay, all that kind of stuff is just blowing me away. Storyline, once again, a very good storyline. I thought it was a pretty long, pretty intense storyline, and it got its point across. I really enjoyed this game from the storyline aspect as well. So that being said, this game coming in at number 4, probably my favorite open world game that was released last year. Moving on to my third favorite game, we got Red Dead Redemption. Now, there's so many good things I can say about this game, it's not even funny. I mean, this game is truly gold in my opinion. This game takes my favorite genre of game, open world games, and fuses it with one of my favorite time frames in American history, which is that Western era. I've been waiting for a good Western game, and Red Dead Redemption truly delivers on that game. I mean, this game, you're riding on horseback, you're lassoing people, you're going on showdowns with people, like, get ready and draw, you're gonna shoot these people in the face, in the hand, in the whatever, and you have to mix with your honor and your fame and everything. It's just an awesome game. The storyline, again, amazing. I thought this was one of my favorite storylines in any game, and I thought it was awesome. The ending shocked me completely. I mean, to a point it shocked me, to another point it didn't. I was kind of expecting it because, I mean, who lets an outlaw get away, right? But anyways, going on, this game graphically, it looks amazing. The gameplay looks amazing. Rockstar is one of those game developers that's probably one of the best in the history of gaming. They made Grand Theft Auto, which again I have not played, but I'm getting ready to play one. Don't you worry. This game, going back to Red Dead Redemption, you can do so much. You can ride your horses, lasso, play mini games, 5-finger fillet, go hunting. I thought it was an amazing game. There's so many good things I could say about this game. It's not even funny. The glitching was not a problem. There was no glitches that I really cared about, that I really noticed, to the point. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't very hard either, and that's another good thing about this game that I really enjoyed. So what more can I say about this game? This game, third place. Yes, there are two other games that beat this game out, which is a very big shocker, seeing as I'm a big open world game, and one of the games that is above it isn't even an open world game. But here we go. Number 3 on my list. Great game. There's nothing bad that I can really say about this game.
Get here! Well done. Easy.
Now, my number 2 favorite game is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I told you guys that there was going to be another Assassin's Creed game on this list, and here it is, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood at number 2 on my list. Now, I played every Assassin's Creed game there is that has been released except for the ones on handheld PSP, and this game is my favorite Assassin's Creed game to date. I'm hoping Assassin's Creed 4 beats this game out, but I'm not so confident that it will, especially after Assassin's Creed 3. Now, that being said, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, in my opinion, is a lot better than Assassin's Creed 2. Why? Well, I thought the gameplay very similar to Assassin's Creed 2. The storyline, in my opinion, in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was slightly better. Assassin's Creed 2 just made it seem more like a revenge game. And I'm not a very big fan of revenge games. Assassin's Creed 2 was just Ezio Auditore going off for revenge to avenge his dad and his brother and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't really like that. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, this is kind of after you've gotten revenge, but then his uncle kind of gets his life taken, and then Ezio needs to go off and revenge him, and I thought that was a lot of a better situation than Assassin's Creed 2, even though it was still a bit of a revenge. Ezio seemed driven strictly by revenge in Assassin's Creed 2. He was driven by a little bit more in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, in my opinion, and the gameplay again in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. They added that Brotherhood thing, hence the name, where you could gather all your assassin Brotherhood people, and it was awesome. I liked the teaming up, even though you didn't really need that too much. It was still a good aspect and something that you could have fun with. When they took that out in Assassin's Creed 3, I wasn't necessarily thrilled about it, but it got its point across. You didn't really need it in Assassin's Creed 3. I mean, you actually somewhat had it in Assassin's Creed 3, but you never really saw it. You never really had a need for it as much as you did in Brotherhood, and even in Revelation, for that matter. But going on, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, another reason why I liked it better was I thought the combat system made it a lot better as well. The combat system was similar to Assassin's Creed 2 as well, but you had the chain kills that was added into this one, and I like that. Chaining a bunch of different cool kills together was just, in my opinion, so amazing that that gave it hands down the better game over Assassin's Creed 2. And the graphics were about the same as Assassin's Creed 2, which was another letdown. I thought the graphics should have been a little bit better, seeing that Brotherhood was actually made a year after 2. But anyways, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, very good game, coming in at number 2 on my list. I can't say enough good things about this game. And now finally, coming in at number 1, it's Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I couldn't make up my mind between the two of these games because I like them both equally the same amount. These games are like terrific. Now the reasons for these games to be at number 1 on my list is actually a very weird reason. I have never really played Final Fantasy games, but I have played enough to know that I'm not a very big fan of that turn-based system, and that's what turned me off from Final Fantasy. When I played Final Fantasy those times, and they had that turn-based system, I never really liked it. It kind of took away from the game, in my opinion, and I've never really been a big, huge fan of the Disney characters of Donald and Goofy and and Mickey Mouse and all that. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're good characters, I like them, don't get me wrong, but I've never been a big, huge fan of them. Now, take both of those things that I've never really played and never really cared for, and you put them into one game. This game is gold. These two games are gold. I can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out, and I'm definitely going to be playing Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix on my channel. Now, going on, Kairi is probably one of my favorite female roles in any game ever that I've played, and Sora and Riku are also probably one of my favorite characters in any game as well. Now, going on, I didn't like the fact that Riku was turned into a bad guy, but I figured he probably would eventually. He just didn't give me the right aura when we first started playing Kingdom Hearts 1. But the whole three trio of Sora, Kairi, and Riku are just awesome. Kingdom Hearts 2 kind of really steps it up and develops all their relationship, and you see them all at an older age and just becoming their own characters. And I thought I think they're some of the strongest characters in any video game that I played. The graphics, awesome graphics. I like the idea again of taking Disney characters and Disney movies and putting them and mixing them with Final Fantasy and this fantasy kind of game. Mulan was probably one of my favorite levels in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I think it was Hollow Bastion that was also one of my favorite levels in Kingdom Hearts number 1. All these games, or both of these games, kind of just, there's so many good things that I could say about these games. These are two of my favorite games ever, and I can't really differentiate between one of these games taking the number 1 spot. Continuing on though, I thought the Sephiroth battles in both of these games are also pretty awesome. One of my favorite movies is Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, and that whole Sephiroth battle between Cloud and Sephiroth was one of my favorite battle scenes in any movie. But again, going back into Kingdom Hearts, the fantasy, the storyline, everything awesome. The darkness, the heartless, it's just awesome. The bad guys were also pretty convincing. I thought Xehanort and Ansem were both really strong bad guys, and I thought taking the antagonists from all the Disney characters and all the Disney movies was also really good as well. That being said, there's still more that I could go on to in Kingdom Hearts, and I will go into more Kingdom Hearts as I start playing Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix that comes out in September, and I will start talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 and what I would like to see from Kingdom Hearts 3 and everything like that. But right now, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, rounding out and topping off my top 10 in video games history. This is my top 10, everybody. Hope you enjoy. Once again, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this top 10. I will be doing more top 5, top whatever information for you as the time goes. I will be doing the top 5 most anticipated games for 2013, and my top 5 favorite first-person shooters, open world games, and all this kind of stuff as well. But stay tuned for all those videos, and have a wicked day, and adios until next time.